Okay, so Gotham's 100th episode, and no, that doesn't mean the finale. This just means that this episode was the last episode that they shot. Was it good? Was it filler? Let's talk about it. What's up, Gothamites? Welcome to a brand new review for Gotham Season 5, Episode 9, The Trial of Jim Gordon. Now, if this episode felt, and I've seen quite a few comments out there like this already, really fillery, that is because it kind of was. Because this is one of the extra episodes that they shot, with the 2 extra episodes they were given. It just makes me think, were they going to marry Jim and Lee if we didn't get those 2 episodes, or would they have already been married in the time jump? Maybe that's a more likely option, but that's not what we're discussing. Oh yeah, and future Boba here, by the way, before that one subscriber points out, Boba, but you did talk about how they're on a 2-week break. So that's what I'm here to do. So yeah, you guys are going to have to wait 2 weeks until the next episode, I Am Bane. Essentially, this kind of makes sense anyway with how the finale is airing April 25th. I knew there was going to be another break at some point, but it is after this episode, so feel free to riot right now. Either way, this episode was okay. But yeah, it definitely does feel exactly what it is. Oh, we've just got 2 extra episodes to shoot, and we're going to place them as episode 8 and 9. And that is exactly, kind of what it feels like. Extra episodes with, there's relevant story there. For example, this episode, I'm not going to trash it. I mean, it had good parts to it. Like, the Poison Ivy stuff to it was really, really comic book accurate. So you could just take this as its own kind of little character episode for Poison Ivy, even though Jim went through quite the trial of his own conscious, scrutinizing himself for his past stuff. But yeah, no, let's dive into this, guys. But before we do, hit that like button. As you always, crush it, guys. You seriously do. At the minute, the likes been going off the rails, so thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to me. And also subscribe if you're brand new for more videos like this on comic book nerdy things just like this. So right at the beginning of the episode, everyone, we had Jim talking about, getting the reunification. Lee, it's very foreshadowing exactly what was going to happen in the episode. Lee very much so disagreeing with that because, Penguin was hosting this at the City Hall place that he owns. And Lee just thinks, do you have a death wish or something? Because, it's quite likely something bad's going to happen if you go ahead and do this. But Jim does kind of have a point. Water is running out. If we're just going to be at war with each other, then Gotham's reunification is, likely to be delayed or, not even happen. So, what Lee said there was interesting because it kind of is true. Jim always does seem like he wants to sacrifice himself, even though, he's like, do you really believe that? But surprise, surprise, guys, not that we didn't see this in the promo or anything, but, Jim gets shot, and this sets up the episode for him, as I kind of mentioned a minute ago, facing the trial of Jim Gordon in his head as his life hangs in the balance, right? And I thought this was quite a cool story thing. It's definitely very filler-centric plot for an episode. It really, really is. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad because everything that we saw in those, visions in his head, if you will, it was like another version of himself cross-examining people like Lee Tompkins on the stand, or just, basically his own mind talking about the things he feels guilty about. For example, failing the people of Haven, amongst a bunch of different other things in previous seasons that he kind of deep down thinks that he doesn't deserve to live for. So I did enjoy that throughout the episode, even though it did kind of feel kind of fillery to me. This episode was also full of really, really funny moments between characters, and that's definitely what they were probably striving for. Give Gotham an extra couple of episodes. You're going to try and just throw in some fan service here or there. For example, I'm pretty sure this was the last appearance of Victor Zsasz, and he was very, very funny in this episode. Naturally, as we discussed a minute ago, this episode was very Ivy-centric, so she had seduced with her freaking scenty kind of perfumey kind of stuff quite a few people in this episode, and Zsasz was definitely one of the funnier ones. So Zsasz was introduced in this episode because Harvey was going ham, and I loved Harvey going ham on Penguin, just literally punching him in the face. He was just pointing a finger at anyone and everyone until he found out what happened to his partner. Good old Harvey Bullock there. But yeah, he essentially found out that it was Zsasz from the Victor Zsasz bullet, and that's when we got that interrogation scene with Zsasz, which was pretty funny because obviously he's under the spell of love Ivy, so he was just, essentially acting like a love-drunk fool. Now, of course, on the other side of things, before I forget, we had Bruce and Selena kind of going on this date. You know what? I really wouldn't be surprised if that location was actually Wayne Manor. I could be wrong, even though Wayne Manor's destroyed, but you know what I mean, like where they actually shoot it anyway. But either way, they were kind of having this. I thought this was pretty nice because, with the 10-year time jump coming up and Bruce, potentially leaving Gotham, which, would be weird if he didn't because that's what he does do in the comics. I like how with this episode, it's given them the opportunity to kind of him address that, oh, maybe I should leave Gotham. Maybe that should be what I should do because whenever I'm here, bad stuff seems to happen. And from the promo of next week as well, I feel like that's only going to fuel what they shot in this episode. For example, in the promo, which I will break down tomorrow on Saturday, we see like Alfred essentially getting his back broken by Bane, by the looks of it, and that's not really a spoiler. It's been said by the actors and blah 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 themselves, but you get what I'm trying to say. It might be set up for more stuff for Bruce to think, well, I need to leave Gotham, not only because I'm failing it maybe, or bad things happen when I'm here, but by the time I get back, I want to make a big difference. We're going to have to wait and see what they do there. But Selena and Bruce in this episode was enjoyable. And how could I forget the mutant gang leader returns to face Selena, but Selena got the upper hand, typically, and she goes after Bruce because Bruce is sent on a mission on behalf of Ivy to do her bidding, essentially. And this is what I mean by the comic book kind of cool. Like, it just reminded me of like if you whacked on like a Batman animated series episode of Ivy doing something. This would be it. You just saw Bruce and Lucius more or less smiling throughout the whole of the back half of the episode. It was just very like entertaining to see all that happen. Lucius, it was quite cool. They gave him a bit more screen time because they could release or break the filters that's stopping Jeremiah's toxins from coming into Gotham. Basically, Ivy's plan was obviously, as it always is, to make a big green world, and the plants would adapt to the toxins, but obviously humans wouldn't. They would come out looking like that proto-Killer Croc guy last episode, etc, etc. So you get the whole gist. Like, that was kind of cool. It was cool seeing. I enjoyed the fight scene between Bruce and Selena in the back bit as well. That was actually pretty impressive. It did kind of get a little bit feelsy as well, and I felt like this was more set up when Selena was punching Bruce in the face, and she was just talking about, him leaving essentially, and she was getting really upset at that, almost like as she was punching him because she's worried about him leaving. But even though, as I keep saying, this episode was quite filler, I did enjoy the kind of Lee Tompkins moments with Jim. Marina Baccarin is a very good actress, but I don't think they've used Lee or utilized the character the best in Gotham. You guys know what I mean. For example, I liked the Alfred moment between Lee. Always when there's Alfred moments talking about Bruce, it always hits me in the feels, especially with the music soundtracks they put in the background of moments like this. But he was just talking about how he's not exactly Bruce's father, but their connection and things they say to each other and this, that, and the other, it just are very, very special. And he was just kind of saying how if Jim does go, and I found this interesting in the episode anyway, she was going to essentially raise the kid with Barbara, and he was just trying to point out how she would be great at it. But I'm pretty sure if like Jim did die, Barbara would not let Lee Tompkins have anything to do with her kid. I mean, I get why they were using this kind of plot here and discussing it in that way, but I just couldn't get into it fully because it was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna raise this kid with Barbara. No, that's not gonna happen. That probably really wouldn't happen, even though Lee essentially, bottom line, wanted to be there for Jim's kid if Jim wasn't. But other than that, guys, the vision-y kind of stuff in Jim's head keeps going on throughout the episode. We even got to see a little cameo of Professor Pig return. Not that it was really Michael Cerverus, but you know what I mean. It's kind of cool that they chucked that in there. But he wakes up. We have a 1 month time jump, which is very interesting. Maybe this was the other time jump that we were talking about, like around this point in the season. I'm not entirely sure. I guess it puts other things in context of Bane healing. Maybe they might do a flash backwards into Bane becoming Bane in the next episode. We're gonna have to wait and see. But essentially, this is where they have the wedding of Jim and Lee, or should I say, Lim and G. If you've been watching the reviews, you know what I mean by that. And literally in my notes here, I wrote down, only Jim would get married in the GCPD. Literally, only Jim would do that. And maybe this has happened in the comics that I'm not familiar with. I don't know. I'm not talking specifically with Lee Tompkins, but you know what I mean. It just amused me. This is the thing. I have no problem with Jim and Lee really getting married. Obviously, like, it's felt a bit rushed with their relationship this season in terms of we've only got so many episodes. So, you know, I'm going to cut some slack for that because I guess they were ultimately endgame in this series. But it just felt a bit... Yeah, it did feel a bit too sudden. And, like, with everyone just watching... I don't know, it felt right, but it felt weird at the same time. I don't know if you got that. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I don't know. And I did laugh out loud when Bruce and Selena kissed. And we saw Alfred and Lucius's face just like, oh my god. No, yeah, that really cracked me up, to be fair. I didn't expect that. It was kind of cute, but, you know, it was kind of funny at the same time. But now, yeah, I guess Jim is a married man, and that is kind of it from here on out. I mean, they did kind of end it again on Barbara just being like, just like standoffish against Jim, you know, getting the kid. I'm just like, really? But we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with that, I guess. But that was the episode, guys. It just felt like this was kind of not a massive in-depth one to talk about. There wasn't really too much to say here. I appreciated the comic book Ivy, like, mind control moments. It was funny seeing Zaz again, probably, as I said, the last time we'll see him. And other bits and bobs throughout it were entertaining. But other than that, this really did feel like filler. And that's because it was kind of an extra episode that they had to chuck up a story with. But it wasn't like bad, but it just wasn't anything spectacular. It was written by Ben McKenzie, but it was also directed by Aaron Richards. And as I said, it was the 100th episode they shot and the last one. So I would love to know your thoughts on it down in the comments below, guys. Do you agree with anything I said? Did I miss anything out? I probably did. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything massive that's pointing out to me right now. But aside from that, everyone, like this video if you did enjoy. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're brand new, and check out some of my other comic booky kind of videos, just like this kind of one where I discuss kind of nerdy things. As always, links in the description down below to my social media. Other places you could support me, like Patreon or my merch shop. Grab yourself a Boba Fuel mug or a BobaTalks hoodie or something like that. But thank you so much for watching, Gothamites. As I said, trailer breakdown will probably be up tomorrow at some point. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.